Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome to a bit of a different video. This is kind of like a channel update which was unrehearsed that I just went ahead and recorded. Well, while I was live streaming, I decided to go ahead and make it a highlight as I hadn't really planned it, but it's something that really sums up where I am with modding at the moment, what I plan on doing, so on and so forth, what I'm working on, why I've dropped certain projects and why I've picked back up other projects. It's basically relating to me just feeling like modding whatever I want to mod. So really, yeah, those of you that have watched the other video saying that I'm stepping away, that never meant that I was stopping modding entirely. It just meant that I'm really dialing it all back, and this video is now going to go over basically the state of things, the state of various projects and what I'm doing. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Please do let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll speak to you all next time. Once upon a time, in a galaxy not too long ago, I was still unemployed, and I was like, I'm going to do Merstham again. And I went ahead and I redesigned the interior of Merstham Estate, at least half of it, in the matter of like a week or so, or 2 weeks. I got super excited, as I so often do, and posted saying I'm now going to redo Merstham Estate and it's also going to go on special edition, and got everybody into a major hype. Then as time went on, I ended up working on other mods. I ended up working on a Cat's Life, which is probably about 80 to 90% done right now, but was waiting on dialogue, and I'm making a decision on whether to just do the other half of the dialogue myself. And Merstham got shelved, and I came to the realization with some other stuff going on in my life that I was like, I can't sit here and mod for 10 hours a day anymore. I can't realistically do all of these projects, so I was like, I'm sorry, I have to drop it. I have to be realistic and look at what I actually want to do. I started work on Corinthia Tower, The Forgotten Legacies. I did loads of research on it, came up with amazing backstory, wrote a load of cool shit for it, rebuilt a lot of the entrance, and was going over Corinthia Tower Reborn, making it into a new epic mod as well. That has never been announced, as I learnt my lesson from Merstham. It was never announced as something that I was definitely going to do. It was something that I would slowly do as long as I was enjoying making it. It dried up after I got through the majority of the tower's interior structure, as my ideas stopped flowing and I just wasn't feeling it. As is the case, I have to bounce between projects an awful lot. So, at the moment I'm not working on Corinthia Tower. A Cat's Life is on hold a little bit until I've got the time to sort of go over it, make sure it's polished, get it working and released and everything. And I had somebody message me, and we were bouncing messages back and forth at like 10 o'clock at night, going on about Merstham. This person trying to convince me, as many others have, so in fact somebody in the chat right now, been trying to convince me to hand this mod off to somebody else to take a good look at, clean up and get working. The issue with this being ported has never been that I'm worried it'll be as unstable and special edition. It's never been that it can't be ported. It's not impossible to port. Any mod can probably be ported with a reasonable bit of time put in. I didn't have the time to do it, and I didn't have the will to do it, so I wasn't going to do it. And I'm the kind of person that, especially with mods, and I don't want to sound big-headed, but mods that are of the detail and the scale with such care in them as mine have, I did not want to hand it to somebody that I did not know to port, to upload, to mess with, to make changes. I would not want one of my mods, and this is a collaboration with Eleonora as well, so I'm not taking full credit for Merstham. I wouldn't want one of solely my own mods, or a mod that I've collaborated with somebody else, taken under the wing of somebody that I don't know, someone that I can't trust. I wouldn't want to be endorsing that mod without 100% knowing that they've done a fantastic job and it's how I want it to be. So, Merstham was then pulled off the table, and I said, I'm sorry, the rebuild can't happen. To my credit, I suppose, I did actually say when I started the rebuild, there is no solid guarantee that I would keep interest in it and be able to do it, and that was the case. So I stopped. I started knocking my modding down to just streaming 3 days a week, and yada, yada, yada. Now, I have a job now. I work 5 days a week, roughly 9 to 5. and I just do not have the fuel in me to put as much crazy effort into my YouTube channel, my tutorials, my website, and most importantly my mods as I once did. What I was finding is that my modding was becoming such an obsession to the point that I was treating it like work, and what I needed was something that I could do the same with that was actually work that I can get a proper paid wage for and start making a living. So I went out and got a job. I was very lucky in getting the job that I have now. And it's basically doing a combination of everything that I love. And so far, fingers crossed, touch wood, no jinxing hopefully, it's going to continue being as awesome a job as it is. So that leaves modding, and I've been thinking and thinking, and I'm like, do I want to continue modding? Do I want to come out of modding? And I came to the conclusion, no. I've poured 7 years into it. I love doing it. It's one of various things that I enjoy doing in my spare time, so I don't want to drop it. I love modding. I quite like modding. There's always a place and there's always some time for modding. I'm just not going to do it at the same scale as I have been. So, in terms of project-wise, I figured I'll stick with my guns and I'll be like, what do I feel like working on? And funnily enough, after talking with this one person with chats back and forth at 10 o'clock at night, about a month ago or so, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to have a look at Merstham Estate and see what state it really is in. Could it be easily just straight up ported? Would it be okay? And I came to the conclusion that yes, it maybe would be. It could take a few hours, few days, depending on the situation. And then I looked at my current state of my rebuild, which was essentially half of a structure about a month ago. And since that month ago, I've been having fun rebuilding the structure, redesigning the interior, getting creative in the little bit of spare time that I now have outside of my new job, and I've built essentially what is Merstham Estate 3. And this is not a complete rebuild of the mod. This is taking the existing mod, making a brand new cell for the interior, and building all of this crazy shit. So as it stands, I'm not going to be promising that I'm completely finishing Merstham Estate, but I'm also putting my hand down and saying I'm sorry, but as much as some may hate it, I'm not letting anyone else port my mods. I've seen how people port their mods, port other people's mods, and usually it's 2 images on a mod page with a shit looking description, no information, and a piss poor job of it. So I'm not having that. That's not what's happening with my mods. If my mods get ported, they're getting ported by me and they're being done fucking properly. That's the way it is, I'm afraid. So anyway, it led me to do this. Those of you that are very familiar with Merstham Estate will be noticing major differences. Those of you that are not so familiar with Merstham Estate but may have seen it before will be probably seeing mostly the same thing. And those of you that never just seen it before might just be like, oh, cool, this is nice. So as it is, the interior is the only thing that's really changed so far. So I'm going to sort of run you through it. Like I say, it's not finished, and this is what I'm working on the weekends, a stream a weekend, with the exception of last weekend, and a little bit in my spare time when I get home from work whenever I feel like it. So all of this is just rolling off. Do I feel like doing it? I'm going to keep doing this as long as I feel like doing it. And then next weekend I might jump ship and I might go and work on a cat's life. But I would like to get this working. So, what was the issue with Merstham Estate? Why would I not be happy with just a straight up port? Quite frankly, because I want to do a job with this that I did with Riverside Shack. I wanted to do a job with Caranthea Tower as I did with Riverside Shack, which is take it, either rebuild it from scratch or partially rebuild it and make it as not really realistic, but have it fit into the game as well as it possibly can. Get rid of stupid ass menus, get rid of stupid features that don't fit in the game, things that have the tendency to break. Keep it simple, keep it very vanilla, and keep it fitting in the game as if it was part of it all along. And put in everything that I've learned the last 7 years or so into making it very, very, very cool. So a reasonable amount of additional items, but majoritively feeling very much like something that you'd find in the game anyway, or in a DLC. And that's how I want my mods to be. When they go up on Special Edition, I don't want them to be straight ports of my 3, 4, 5 or more year old work that's crap, in my opinion. I want it to be as well polished and implemented as the new Riverside Shack has been. No more stupid bugs, no more stupid errors or things that have changed, or silly ways of doing things, like buying things off a random NPC in the middle of Iverstead, which breaks if you have another mod installed. I want it nice and clean. So that was the same idea with Corinthia Tower. Tidy it up, make it the vision I always had, and that's the plan with this. Take Merstham, find out what problems are with it, fix them. So in terms of, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, the main issues with Merstham Estate, the reason that it was so crashy and bad performance, is basically we got too ambitious. We went over the top with it. We put way too much clutter in, way too many scripts running, stupid amounts of features, and quite frankly it overloaded the cell by double the recommended amount, and that's why it crashed. It crashed because it was overkill. It was not an easy fix, no matter what people put in comments in the comment section would think, like, fix this, it's a crashy mess. It's like, you try and fix it. It's not that it can't be fixed, it's that it originally was just pushed so far that fixing it would take a lot of time. Fixing the original version would mean going through the original cell, deleting a bunch of stuff, hoping that it doesn't crash and burn on you. It would involve converting a ton of resources, which quite frankly in a lot of cases were unnecessary, and then what would be released on Special Edition as a Merstham port would be something that is very outdated and not to the standard that I'm at with my mods nowadays. Put quite frankly. So yeah, the issues with this is just it was an overload. It was too much. And it's been much easier to take this mod and build the original interior of it from scratch and then replace stuff in and make interesting, more up-to-date, unique changes than it would have been to edit the existing cell. So, with all of that craziness said, for those of you that have followed it or fell asleep or got completely confused and fallen off your perches, and instead of me aimlessly wandering around, let's start from the front door. So, before I get started, like I've already said, you're going to see some weird shit. You're going to see things that aren't linked, things that have disappeared, walls with holes in them, gaps in the ceiling, Z fighting. It ain't finished. But so far, this is basically what I've got. So, in terms of the entranceway here, I came to the conclusion that it was too open and you had stairs poking out on your right hand side, and it was silly. So stuff like that was irritating. Now the structure has been built very carefully by looking at the original version, the exterior of the house, and some changes made to the exterior to actually build the interior this time to, as very closely as possible, match the exterior of the house in terms of shape and size. So that left me with some room to actually fix some of these original irritations, like the stairs popping out. So now I've got this nice little hallway which helps segment this off a little bit and make everything a little more enclosed and easier to clutter. So we've got this nice little hallway with your shoe racks and stuff like you had before. We've got a nice little shrine area with a Julianos shrine. A little bit of ivy. We walk out, we've got the same old hallway, but we've got a more sort of open plan area with that archway, which I think is a lot nicer. The old one was like a doorway without a door. It was horrible. We've got much better placed doors, much better built structure. We've got like a big gap here, which I can play around with, maybe do something with, just to keep it opened up. We've got the dining area. As you'll see, a lot of clutter has been cut down. A lot of overkill plants overlaying each other in the plant pots has been cut down. Things have just been cleaned up. Things have been made a little more vanilla, but still look unique enough and Merstham enough as possible. So it's kind of nice. But again, it's still not finished. So we've got nothing on the table yet. You come out, you've got the other side of the house, which was always, this always felt more like an entranceway than the actual entranceway did, but I think having that hallway helps with that. So this is actually the rear of the house. This has stayed, in terms of its open plan design, pretty much the same, but the stupid Alduin wall at the back, which was very law breaking, has been replaced with the big display cases being built into the wall, which I think is gorgeous. It's a more updated version of those as well, and it's better. We've got some wonderful hanging sconces which light the entire room up now. We've got more accurate window placement and stuff to match the exterior. We've got a mammoth hanging by ropes and stuff, so it doesn't look like it's going to rip the wall down. We've got nice clean banners, which are still relatively vanilla. We've got new planters and stuff. We've got the good old-fashioned Dawn-style rug, which I always loved. It's still very Merstham. Yeah, so the living room hasn't changed much either. This is very much just polished up from what we used to know. The organ's gone, because that was planned to be functional, but I never got anyone who could whip up some like organ-style Skyrim theme or anything. And quite frankly, the organ looks really out of place. It doesn't look very Skyrim-y at all. Saw through the organ because people were always like, when's the organ going to work? So that's gone, replaced with some display cases and stuff. In regards to storage and everything, these are going to be very different. We're going to have some... We're not going to have unique storage anymore, so all the weapons in the game storable, because otherwise that leaves an empty house. I've explained before why I won't do that anymore. And it's going to be very much just custom. Put your weapons wherever you want. We've got all these custom racks and everything. You just put whatever you want where you want and everything now. So it's more customizable. Yeah, so the living room's mostly the same, otherwise it's pretty nice. It's all just very well polished and a lot more simplified, so it's not overkill on the clutter and everything. On the other side, we've obviously got the forge. The forge has been overhauled like mad. So again, those of you that have played the old Merstham will probably notice changes more than others will. Apologies if I'm not looking at chat. I'm just sort of running through this so people get a lowdown on what this mod's now all about. So I've made a whole big rack for all the firewood and everything, which will eventually be functional. I've rebuilt the actual small kind of forge area that we had before. I think that's a lot better. It's sort of built up with stone so that it doesn't burn everything and, you know, kill everybody. It makes sense. Everything's sort of, again, somewhat the same, but a little bit different. The good old-fashioned workspace area here, the shelving above the door, the holding got set up, but the other major thing with this is that I've thrown away static clutter. Wherever I can get away with no more static clutter, the better, where everything can actually be pick upable and throw around the room, the better. We can actually fuck around with all this, which is great. A lot more toward being Skyrim. Yep, stuff all piled up. So I've tried to take all the inspiration I can from Eleanor's original clutter, obviously, because her job was basically to clutter the shit out of the house. So I've tried to keep her clutter as is, but obviously without so much static clutter and without it being too overkill that it now causes things to crash. So we are still well within the limit of the cell bounds, basically, how much you can put in a cell without it getting pissy. Well within that limit. So the forge has really had a really nice upgrade, really unique. The hallways had a really nice upgrade, but is mostly the same. The living room has stayed majority of the same. If we head up here, these steps are still not working very well. Head up here, the library is mostly the same as well. You'll still recognise this for those that have played the old one. Things have been cut out, things have been changed a bit still though. And these, once they've got the script attached, will be fully functional bookcases as seen in my Claywater Retreat mod, which was never actually released, but was part of the original Project Modularity setup. So you'll be able to open these and then store them with loads of books. It'll have a little menu and stuff. It will be amazing once it's all set up. These are also going to be just your old-fashioned style mini bookcases as well that you can put all books on. So it'll store about probably 200 to 300 books. So that's mostly the same. Like I say, the entire top half of the hallway has changed, so it's now not law-breaking as mad, you know. This has stayed very much the same as well. Again, things are not linked up correctly. I need to go through. There's meant to be like double the amount of items in this room right now, but things being copied over from the original cell has resulted in things being linked to items that are currently disabled. So I've still got to go through and make sure that all of this is visible when it's supposed to be. But yeah, you'll see like this whole setup is mostly the same with some tweaks here and there, general clutter changes, just to get rid of a lot of static stuff and overall just cut down on resource use. The more resources made by the community that are used, the more hell it's going to be to port over to special edition. Anywhere that I can stick with vanilla, anywhere that I could stick without static clutter and like piles of stuff, the better, because it's going to be a lot easier to port. So that's pretty much the first half of the house covered, and as you can see, it's not far from being done. like I say, we've got this whole hallway here. The kitchen is what we've been modding throughout today. This is really coming along quite nicely. This is the most dramatically changed room because obviously this used to be just like a block which led to a load door. Now we've actually got stairs leading down to a load door which will take you in. Oh god, that's a problem. You might have to duck there. So yeah, still some stuff to work on. You can see it's not perfect yet. It's just got like a general concept for that. I've custom built all of these workspaces so that it's a lot more interesting. It's a much better put together kitchen, I hope. It should be a lot nicer than the original, basically, which was good. It was still nice, but I do want this to still... I want it to feel like Merstham, still mostly be the same mod, but also be like upgraded and new and more and interesting. So people that do get the port don't feel like they are just using that same old mod they had on Legacy. They are actually getting something special, something different. And this is still going to be on Legacy, by the way. This is not just going to be Special Edition only. That would be stupid. This is being built in Legacy, and then it's getting ported afterwards. So it's going to replace both versions. Well, it's going to replace the original version, and it's going to be the version for Special Edition. These are all, for some reason, still not linked up correctly, but those are all like shelving and stuff. So kids' room has been practically rotated 90 degrees and changed around a little bit. But it's got a lot of the same stuff in here. Just moved around, just flipped about. The display room has been made a lot shorter, a lot smaller, because the big displays are being used in the hallway now, which I think is a lot more fitting. And this is going to be a lot more custom in terms of just your usual displays where you can put stuff in and everything, which is better. It's just going to be like a small display area. There's now a new little storage place up top here. Well, it's not actually new. It's just something that you'll actually be able to access, unlike the old version. You won't be expected to jump up like a lunatic like that. There'll be a script just to hop you up there. But again, this is all stuff that you can now use and interact with. You can store things up here. So this is one of my favourite areas, funnily enough, as horrible as it is. One of my favourite areas of the new build. And then you've got the bedroom. Bedroom, again, is staying mostly the same with some new additions, some changes, some interesting things. And yeah, so you can see some flickering. We've got a lot of lighting to deal with. The way that things are changed, the customization of stuff is going to be brought up to my new way of doing things, which is more interactable rather than having to go through menus to change things. It's going to be made a lot better. There was an issue with the hanging stuff in the wardrobe, which I need to fix. That was causing crashes, so I'll see what I can do about that. But you'll see it's very much the same. The thing that we've got left here is the bathroom. This is in no way linked to the rest of the mod yet, by the way, so doors have not been re-linked up or anything. This is going to need some nice marble flooring, and you can see the bathrooms actually ended up being bigger as a result of the structure rebuild. It's going to give room to really move around and do stuff. And I do plan on re-implementing the toilet where you could have realistic pooping and stuff like that and effects coming off it. I am planning on redoing that. So yeah, that's pretty much the rebuild of Merstham Estate as is at the minute. I might share this onto the YouTube just to pretty much point people at if they want to know why I've redone this and what I'm doing with it. But like I say, just to finish this little segment and the end of the stream essentially off, I am not promising that this is going to get finished. If for whatever reason this does not get finished, if I decide, you know what, I'm done with modding, I'm done with the community, or I don't have time, my interest shifts and goes elsewhere, then I'm afraid, no, I won't let other people mod my work or port my work. That's just how it is. My mods are my mods. I should be the one to port them if they're going to be ported at all. People are more than welcome to go ahead and try and port them themselves to their own personal use, but I won't be doing it for like publicly. And like I say, I do want to continue to mod on the weekends for so many hours and do a stream a weekend at the moment and try and crack on with this. I think we can, if we can finish that kitchen, we can crack on with the bathroom, and then we can go over, clean up the structure, and before you know it, it should be ready for linking into the rest of the mod, deleting the old stuff, redoing the basement, and then starting to implement all the functionality. It's not, when you sort of lay it all out, it's not that much work. It's just I don't have a shit ton of time to work on it anymore. But it's coming along, and I'm quite happy with what I've got here. I feel it's better than the original. in most ways, to be honest. And yeah, also to just, I think it's obvious at this point, just to make it aware, Eleonora has had no part in this whatsoever. She's obviously busy with her own stuff. I actually don't chat with her all that much anymore. I've lost touch with a lot of contacts in the modding community. To be fair, it's just the way it goes. Still on great terms with her. Met her in London. What was it now? Oh God, it's got to be a year nearly, hasn't it? Yeah, easily a year, which was great fun. So I didn't even ask if she wanted to be a part of it. Quite frankly, I'm quite happy to take this on under my own wing and see if we can get it upgraded and released on both versions. So that is pretty much the state that Merstham estate is in. That's pretty much it. That's how it is at the moment. That's my thought process. So yeah. Very much enjoying it. Very much enjoyed this stream as well. So many thanks to everybody who has joined in, everyone that's pitched in the chat, everyone that's just watched and enjoyed, hopefully enjoyed the stream.